First Officer's Log, May 17th, 2016. So we just got the announcement trailer for Dragon Ball XenoVerse 2. I had no idea this was coming. I hadn't heard anything anywhere. I didn't see an article. I just saw randomly a trailer pop up in my YouTube feed, and here we go. It's been announced. And then I haven't heard lots of official press releases. I haven't heard about what the game is going to do or where we're going with it. News on this is kind of scarce, and it's supposed to be coming out this year. The end of the trailer said 2016. PS4, Xbox One, all the new systems, and wow, is that exciting. I'm really looking forward to this. Now, there's a lot to talk about here because I like Dragon Ball Xenoverse more than most people. It's one of those games that initially got some pretty good reviews and then over time became this thing it's not that great. We missed this, and this mechanic of Dragon Ball Z that we lost some of the single player sort of have everyone over at your house kind of party elements to it. It became a little bit too online focused. It became a little bit too solo, and I can understand that criticism. I really like the fighting mechanic of it though. I love the lock-on method. I love the wheel of options for your attacks. It makes doing combos a little bit simpler, but at the same time it makes it so you the button configurations easier to get in and attack with. I like how much more control you seem to have over your character and move combinations and such. But it has a lot to be desired. There's lots of problems with it. The story makes no sense. The story's pretty bad. The story is not something I feel like we really needed with this game. And that sounds weird, I know. I kind of just figured what you needed with Dragon Ball Xenoverse was make it like you can go through all of Dragon Ball Z history, except you just happen to be there as another character, which is what they kind of did, but they had this mechanic of time being altered and these time patrollers and stuff, and I don't think we really needed that. So losing that and just going forward as just doing Dragon Ball Z stories except with an extra character, I think would be the way to go. Obviously, I don't think we're going to quite do that. The trailer shows snippets of things that we didn't get in the previous game, there's Lord Slug there's the History of Trunks stuff. Xenoverse had lots of interesting DLC. You could play through some parts of Dragon Ball GT. You got some Dragon Ball GT characters. You got some stuff from the movies and the specials here and there, but it was very much just focused on main Dragon Ball Z with a couple of add-ons like Resurrection F and Battle of Gods, and then Dragon Ball GT is just kind of like an Easter egg sort of thing. I want this to be more sweeping. I want this to be Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball GT, and maybe Dragon Ball Super. Now, Dragon Ball Super is tough. Dragon Ball Super, because this game would have had to be in production as that show was going on. That show just wrapped up its Universe 7 or Universe 6 arc with the big tournament, and I don't know if they would have had the chance to take the Universe 7 tournament stuff and put it into this game, although I really would like that. Dragon Ball Super has just finally gotten started on its own thing, so just having one solo arc would be odd. But I do kind of want to bring in more universes with this game. It feels weird to me that we're announcing this for 2016 when I think it would almost be smarter to announce it for a late 2017 release and pull more of Super in. Just maybe get rid of Dragon Ball GT and make it Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super. Make it more focused on the canonical progression of Goku. It's very odd to me that we're releasing it this early, and it makes me worried that it might not refine as much as I think it needs to refine. The other thing with Dragon Ball Xenoverse that I think they need to change for the second one is you can customize your moves, you can customize your outfits, you can customize your specials and such. I think you should be able to do that with every character, that you can take Goku and you can alternate whatever moves you want to have. There shouldn't just be 8 or 9 default Gokus. There should be one Goku that you can customize to be anything. The other thing is Super Saiyan and transformations in general. Here's the thing. What Dragon Ball Xenoverse did is far more in line with the in-universe logic of those games, that you would power up, and if you run out of energy, you'd power down. So the old school Dragon Ball Z method of if you power up, it's a different character, and you just get to stay in that mode for as long as you want to, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. At the same time, that's what I grew up on. I grew up on, if you turn Super Saiyan, your character is now Super Saiyan Goku, and you're using that all the way through. It doesn't matter how much energy you have. And I want that back. I want Super Saiyan, except for maybe your character, where it makes more sense because you're customizing. I want it to be that you, if for everyone aside from your character, there are multiple forms that are their own separate characters that you can transition between. And if you can't make us do that, then give us more energy. Because part of the problem with Super Saiyan in general for those games is you go through a barrage of like 8 or 9 attacks, which isn't very much in Dragon Ball Z, and then you have to stop and recharge or you're going to power down. It breaks the flow of the combat, and I don't like that. I feel like recharging should be a rare thing that you need to do after battles get too intense. And I don't like that it's just this meter that's constantly running down. I feel like it should stay at a stable rate while you're Super Saiyan, and the more energy based attacks you use, the more it goes down. So at some point you have to recharge, or you're gonna deplete yourself. I like the idea of using an attack forces you to power down, as opposed to you are constantly draining energy. I think that's sort of a mistake in that game's mechanic, and I hope they fix that with the second one. More characters, please, because there just aren't many. There's like the mainstays, and then the tack-ons from the movies that we got with Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. But more characters. I want the movie characters like cooler. I know we're getting Lord Slug in this. We saw it in the trailer. But I want multiple ages for Gohan. I want multiple ages for Goku. I want multiple ages for everyone. I want like multiple side characters. Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3 had pretty much the largest roster, I think, of any Dragon Ball Z game. Maybe you don't have to go quite that far. If you don't make separate character models for different forms, fine, whatever. But give us some sort of like base, right? Like, I hate the fact that you go from like base form Frieza to final form Frieza to powered up Frieza to golden Frieza. You should be able to have like Frieza form 1 and form 2, like the assault modes and stuff. It's weird to just jump like that. It again destroys sort of like the progression. I want those forms thrown back in there. They kept like the battle damage costumes and such, and they made it so like there's a bit of a progression from like when Goku looked like this, he had these attacks and stuff. But again, more customization for those default characters would be good. There's lots of quests. I feel like Dragon Ball Xenoverse is one of those things that feels massive until you beat it, and when you beat the game, it feels tiny. And I don't want that to happen. Maybe that's just me being spoiled with video games. Like, even I think Arkham Knight feels a bit small. But I think Xenoverse especially feels like a much smaller game than it actually is. And replay value would just be added if I had more characters, if I had like more versus modes aside from the quests. Like if I could just do World Tournament outside of online mode, that would be great. Like if I could just have like 3 or 4 of my friends show up and we do a World Tournament thing. But it doesn't quite work that way, and I wish it did. The other thing is, because there's a lot here, there's a lot of like just like, I wish we were doing this as opposed to this, and there's a problem with this game and I want to fix it there. The other thing is, the story mode for Xenoverse 1 was not great, but I think they did a good job with the difficulty scaling, where as you got stronger, the enemies got stronger. But like, for example, in the original Saiyan arc, the Cybermen were really intimidating. They could beat some of our characters. They had about the same strength as Raditz, so it makes sense that if you are inherently a little bit weaker, or if you are just starting out in the Saiyan saga, then the Cybermen would be a bit more of a challenge, and then over time you get stronger and you can go back and stop that. The problem is the mechanic, right? The problem is the premise of this series is Trunks goes to the Eternal Dragon, asks for a Great Warrior, and it doesn't make sense to me to be pulled, and the way the game makes it seem is like you were a warrior that got pulled out of a particular context and you were going back to help the Z Fighters. It doesn't make sense from that perspective for your character to have trouble with Cybermen or Nappa. So again, I say abandon the time travel gimmick a little bit and just make it seem more like you're growing with these characters, that you're just part of this legacy. I I don't think they're going to do that. The way the trailer plays, you have like the scrolls of times and stuff, so it makes it seem more like we're going back and just doing the same kind of story again, except like the challenge has been ramped up. Which, okay, fine, whatever. I guess we'll see how that goes. But again, that's just more of like how I would drive this franchise forward. Character customization is good. I feel like you need some more options. I feel like that with that game, I never quite got to be as customized as I wanted to be. I feel like with that game, despite how specific my upgrades were with my energy-based attacks and such, it never quite felt like I had a particular playing style versus someone else's. I feel like there should be a little bit more distinction for everyone's characters. So there should be a little bit more customization in like fighting styles and stuff. Which is a thing no Dragon Ball Z game has gotten right, but now that we're on next-gen consoles, there's no reason we can't get it right. We have the space on these discs to make more options available. Like being able to build a fighting style over the course of these games would not be that much of a challenge. Hell, Street Fighter's been doing this for a long time now, where like a lot of their characters fight in different ways, and I feel like your customizable character should be able to do that, or it's not really customizable. So I want more of that fixed. I want more of that to be in the forefront. The trailer is only like a minute long, and so it doesn't give us a lot. The game's graphics look a little bit better than XenoVerse, though not too far, which is fine because of Dragon Ball Z. It's got to look a little bit more cartoony anyway. I don't mind Dragon Ball Z not being extremely detailed. I like the 3D element of it. Like Dragon Ball Z games in 3 dimensions have like retroactively, when you go back, they look good for their time, but they're still like not on par with what was going on for each one of those generations. This one, the Xenoverse doesn't quite have that. Xenoverse always kind of felt like, yeah, you're ramping up what Dragon Ball Z is capable of, you're using the capacity of this console, it works for what you're trying to do, and I think the details and like the way the attacks look and like the aesthetic of it overall is good. The graphics for the next one don't look like they're ramped up too much more, and I like that. I want to make sure like we keep like the Dragon Ball Z aesthetic consistent throughout these games. Especially now that Dragon Ball Super is out and it doesn't look too different from Dragon Ball Z, that it just looks a little bit more polished, and that's all it should be, is like it just looks a little bit more polished as we keep going forward. So I'm excited for this. I really can't wait to get this game. I still think it's weird that we're pushing it out this early. And I want to know if there's any ties to Dragon Ball Super. The trailer made it a big deal of like it's Dragon Ball Z focused, but I want it to be more spanning than that. I'm really excited for this. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, whether you agree or disagree with anything I said. Who are you looking forward to in this game? Is there a specific character you want back for this franchise, for like the fighting game element? Because I think there's quite a bit that I desperately want to see here, like the multiple forms of Frieza, like throwing in Cooler, like throwing in more transformations in between states and stuff with these characters. So I'm excited. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you next time with another video.